And good afternoon, Facebook world. I am reverb. It's got me doubling. But so Maria Daniels here, and I have Chanel Rose, Angela Buckley, and we are three of the co-hosts of Business Acceleration Playbook. Ray is running behind today. That is the beauty of business ownership. Sometimes things change and you have to kind of go with the flow. So we're all used to that here. And I know most of our viewers and our listeners are also entrepreneurs and business owners and know how things can change rapidly throughout the day. So today we are doing another panel discussion, and we'll probably be doing a few of those as we try to reformat just kind of what does our guest structure look like. And if you're listening or watching right now and you're interested in being a guest, you could actually reach out to us on our Facebook page, Business Acceleration Playbook, to be able to kind of figure out some dates and some requirements on being able to be on the show. So just a little bit about the show in general. We are streaming live to several Facebook pages, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and we are on the Roku channel. I don't remember the times. That's a Ray question, so we'll have to circle back to that later. But we're able to get a little bit more visibility right now, but we have plans to get even more visibility in the future. So if you're interested in being a part of that as a guest on our show, please reach out to us and we can get that figured out. But today, we had a couple of topics that we threw around on about talking about, but both of them had to do well, at least partially with money, which everybody knows. I know Chanel's all like, "Ooh, money!" Talking my language. So they both actually kind of had to do with money. The one was, how to reach people organically on Facebook without spending the money, for the ads. Which ads can be good and grand in their own time and place, but I've seen a lot of people kind of create a bunch of stuff and think if they just put it out there in an ad, they can take their crappy content and make it magic, and that's not how that works. And then we also kind of brought up the idea of talking about just how to increase your revenue while at the same time not breaking the bank, because I've seen just in the consulting world, I have seen, and I see this on a regular basis, that yes, the idea is it takes money to make money. And we all know that, somewhat that's true. But I see a lot of people making the mistake of thinking that, again, they can take this idea that they've not fully thought through and they can push a bunch of money to it. And then when it just sits there and nothing happens, they are not sure what to do. So I kind of want to maybe make it a blend of both. I think we can effectively talk about both things because they're kind of in the same world. It's kind of the question of, as a business owner, small business owner particularly, and an entrepreneur, dollars are always a concern. Cash flow is always a concern, which they are in larger businesses too. But for this purpose, we're speaking small biz and entrepreneur. So, there's a lot of things you can read and watch that tells you, what to do. And I like to come at it from the other angle of kind of what not to do also, because I think that catches a lot of things before they even start. And so I kind of want to, first of all, shut up and stop talking so Angela and Chanel can kind of intercept and jump on in here. But I want to discuss it from that point. So ladies, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
Well, I do.
She's like, you had me a money. You had me a money.
You did. That was so much. So I guess we can start with things you said, what not to do when you're starting up your business, a small business. Don't spend a bunch of money on things that don't make you money. So if you're looking to invest, you should always invest in things that have a more favorable return on investment up front, right? So that's the difference between, if you can choose between maybe advertising in church bulletins and going to a local fair. I don't know, I'm making this up as I go along. Pay for the church bulletins and the local fair versus $1,000 website. Here's why. Websites don't make money. What you put on a website makes money, but there's a lot of investment that must be made and a lot of testing, with financial investment to figure out how you can make a return on your investment in your website. I'm not anti-website. I just think that if somebody told me I can get in front of potential customers immediately versus building a website and they're trying to then get customers, I'd absolutely create a Facebook business page, which is free. I would absolutely create a 2 to 3 page website with an about me, products and services, and then some sort of merchant site so people could check out. And I would focus on ways to get directly in front of customers. So step 1 would be, don't buy a really expensive website. Don't overthink things that don't make you money, like your logo. I say this, it seems like every day. The McDonald's era of logos is gone, right? Like people are not driving down the street going, oh, that's CR Agency. Oh, that's Buckley Unlimited. It just doesn't happen, right? Like it does not happen anymore. And so if you're stressed out about your logo and you spent 2 to 3 months, because I'm guilty of this, right? Trying to get that perfect logo. I've never ever had anybody say, I like your logo, other than people who I showed it to. I've never had anybody say, your logo is what brought me in the door. It doesn't. Half the time people don't even know what your logo is. Like, so don't spend $1,000 trying to get the perfect logo. No one cares but you. And I would say another thing that I've seen people do is dump a bunch of money into an office when in reality, if you didn't learn what.
Can I go back to logo before we go down to office? Because you are right.
Right.
Also be aware that you can fall into the trap of the logo aficionados. And I'm a little bit guilty of that. I have a friend, I walked in, he's actually one of my students.
Wait, define logo aficionados, because I don't know what that means.
People who love logos and talk logos.
Oh, okay.
And also charge you for the development.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's what they love the money behind that. That's why.
But they love the history and they like the value, the story of it and how it ties together. And people who do logos, and if you're in the arts community, they do talk about those things. And I agree with you that it doesn't make the money. Nobody's walked in and said, wow, I want your consulting firm because you have this great logo. Yeah. But I will also tell you that I was teaching a class and my student walked in the room and I'm like, oh, I love your logo. It's everything that the modern logo is supposed to do right now. Right. And he came in the next week and he gave me a jacket with the logo on it, right? I still have that jacket because I love that logo. I love the colors. I'm like, you guys hit it out of the ballpark. So I kind of fall in that category, but he's making a ton of money and can afford a $600 logo. When you're starting out, you do not need to spend $600 or $2,000 for a logo.
No. And I think that's the point she was making.
Yeah, I'm saying don't invest in that, but I guess I want to be clear. If you're at startup phase, right? So in your first 6 months, you're really trying to get the ball rolling. Angela is the exception, not the rule. And so I caution against giving people exception-based advice because it's so hard to come across, right? And so there are obviously, like you said, if you're in the arts community, if you are, selling marketing, but most
or
of the time,
if you're selling logos, right. Your logo better be on point.
I'm agreeing with you, Chanel. Yeah. I'm saying be careful because someone will talk you into these very expensive ones, and you don't need it. Yeah, I'm really agreeing with you. The person that had that new logo design had been in business for 15 years and was already making millions, right?
Right. And when we talk about branding, right, like because you do want to have a brand, I still often caution people away from. Don't go buying a bunch of pins and stickers and T-shirts because unless you are like a nonprofit or something that requires that level of branding at startup, most of the time people don't remember it. If I asked you off the top of my head of all the nonprofits, outside like Susan G. Komen, which has been around forever, and St. Jude's, like those are all institutions, right? I just think that the days like the millennial mindset, the Gen Z mindset, I can't remember who's above millennials, so forgive me. But like those two generations are not as focused on those kind of things. So when you're thinking about if you have $1,000, right? Because that was my model. If you have $1,000, where you should spend your money, it's on things that can get you directly in front of clients. And so like those are two. And then what's another one? Office space is another huge one that people spend a bunch of money on. If you are one person in your business, when you start out, you need a desk. You don't need a giant office. You don't need a whole bunch of space. And if you're really looking to build out your brand and you want to be around people, right? Because I'm a people person. Thought about it. Banks sometimes, like smaller banks, will have a room you can rent out. Law firms almost always have an empty desk they'll rent out to you. And these are like nominal cost, as opposed to you trying to rent out a whole office, maybe in the downtown area of your community. Just getting one small office and one desk is a fraction of the cost. But I've seen so many people dump $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of their 401k into office space. But office space doesn't make you money, right? And so those are like the three places I think all the time when I've dealt with my clients, I'm like, please stop, please don't. Like, the website, the logo, and the office space has often had people stuck in a cycle of start for years because they think they need those things. And you don't need those things to be successful, and you don't need those things to make money.
No, I agree. And I think that a lot of the things that you were saying, I was kind of laughing when you were talking about don't sink a bunch of money into pens and da da da. Well, you could probably see, that way. Probably see, this is one of my old logos. I did it myself on one of the logo things. I didn't have I didn't have a designer then that worked for me. So I didn't have them do it. It was done myself. I threw it up, and I have so much stuff with that on there, but I did it myself because I had no money to start out with. So instead of paying somebody to go ahead and create one, I created one myself and slapped it on everything because I thought, I'm in marketing. I got to market, I got to put it all out there. And I spent so much money, and it's an old logo. I mean, I've kept some of the memorabilia from it, but the rest of it's garbage. I mean, actually, we recycled a whole lot of old cards and old everything that, is literally money down the tube. So yes, I 100% agree. Starting out, it's okay that you make your own logo and it's maybe not what you want for the future, but you also need to think about the future. Am I going to need, all these posters and all these shirts and all these, booklets and all these things. Chanel's probably going to get her chicken. She's getting some chicken. Made me hungry. She's cooking. So anyway, I mean, I agree 100% on that because I think that is one of the things when you're finally able to start your business, we've dreamed about it, right? You've dreamed about this moment, and especially, I guess I'd have to I wish Ray was on here to ask a kind of a stereotypical male perspective, but from a stereotypical female perspective, I think a lot of times we liked the idea of creating and decorating it and coming up with these things. And I think that's one of the reasons that we kind of put that out there. That was for me. I loved creating all that and putting it out there. I was like, oh, I did this, type of thing. But, it definitely does add up and costs lots and lots of dollars. So I think those are some very good tips. Angela, do you have any words of wisdom or tips for people that maybe are just starting out that, would be a waste of money for them to go ahead and, go down that avenue?
So I think I have from time to time hired the wrong coach because I didn't ask the right questions. So I think I agree. I think that you should get a coach. You should always be looking out for some advice, but beware of what you're paying for. And no, I didn't know enough, right? I didn't know enough to ask the right questions. And then any coach that's out, not any coach, that's not true. Many of them will steer you in a direction if they don't perceive that you're a good fit. But when you're very, very, very young, as in young entrepreneur journey, not age, you don't know what you don't know. And then your questions aren't getting you where you need to go. So for me, I would encourage that you work with a business coach who also uses the same type of systems. So for example, I have always been a Google company. Every single version of any of my companies has always been a Google company. And I recently hired someone to work with me and they are not Google. And I didn't realize how much time we would be wasting going back and forth, not dealing with the same systems. And honestly, I'm a systems person. I should know that. But I was hiring more for the business coaching, and I didn't realize how much of our systems would be integrated within that business coaching. So I love all the business advice that I've gotten, but I think I could have gotten similar business advice and we would have been more streamlined if we had looked at the systems as well. So understanding a little bit of where you want to go before you spend your money how do you save your money? You spend it wisely, right? Like I was not spending it wisely because I wasn't asking the right questions.
I'm writing that down.
Are you? Thank you. Yeah. Quote of the day. No.
I think what you said, you hit the nail on the head, is a lot of people waste money on coaches. And, you know, I shoot straight from the hip. It's a waste. If you invest your money in someone and you don't get the desired output and you have put forth the proper effort, then it's not a good fit. One of the things that I can recommend to anybody before you decide to solicit any service, accept any sort of advice, is to become an informed consumer, right? So I'll give you a good example. Before I dyed my hair, I've never had my hair this light before. And I was like, okay, I just want to go blonde, right? But saying you want to go blonde is literally saying you want to go blonde. There's like 50 different versions of blonde. And in excess, there's so many different ways you can be blonde. I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to be blonde. I just didn't want to look like, I digress. The point is, I wanted my hair blonde. And at the onset, I told the girl who dyed my hair, I want to be blonde. And she said, okay, ... And she said, what kind of blonde? I was like, the cute one. And so then she said, that's not really how this goes. Like, I need to know, do you want to be light blonde, ginger blonde? So we went through this whole thing. I was like, all right, I'll just find some pictures because that made my head hurt. I didn't know what that meant, right? I just knew I wanted to be blonde. Now, what she could have done is said, okay, and made me Jessica Simpson blonde, which would have not made me happy at all. And she would have given me exactly what I asked for. So most people are box checkers and will give you exactly what you're asking for. And to be fair, I deserve to be Jessica Simpson blonde because I just said blonde. But luckily, I worked with somebody who knew me enough to know that that would have not made me happy and it wouldn't have been a good experience for either of us. So we took the time to figure out what I wanted to do. I learned that I couldn't do it in one day. It had to happen over a few days, right? A few appointments. And I say that to say I went into this process thinking I knew exactly what I wanted, but I found somebody to match what I needed, right? And what was best for me. And the same goes for coaching. If you want to coach, you have to figure out what kind of coaching do you want. And business coaching is as ambiguous as it comes. Do you want somebody to help you with your marketing? Is it social media marketing? Is it on your website? Is it Facebook ads? Is it, a branding marketing, right? Like, what do you mean by that? You also want to help you with sales. Do you want passive sales? Do you want cold calling sales? Do you want email revenue? Like, I could do this all day, right? Like, the point is, the person who can help you with making email revenue is not the same person who can help you with cold calls. It's just not the same expertise.
Yep.
Right. And so you have to decide, and you have to pay people for what they're good at. Like, that's the other piece. People want to go and get a catch-all coach. Good luck, because you're going to come out being really happy about 30% of what you got, and the 70% of it that you won't be happy because there's no catch-all. People come to me all the time like, oh, you're excellent at communications and you can help me build my brand, but you can also help me, work on my consulting. And I really want you to talk to me about conflict resolution and executive leadership. And also you have an analytics certification. So can you handle my Instagram analytics? Absolutely not. Like, thank you for reading my website. The answer is no. Like, I don't want to do, can I do those things? Yes. Do I mix a little bit of it in there? Sure. But if you want somebody to help you with analytics, don't call me. Like, don't call me, don't look in my direction. It happens to me all the time. I got the certification for a reason, right?
Yep.
And it's the same thing with just becoming an informed consumer. I use my hair as an example, but the same thing with a coach. I have luckily never hired a coach I didn't need, but I also research the questions you should ask a coach. And I asked them, are you somebody who likes to be micromanaged, right? Are you someone who likes to work independently? Do you prefer I correspond with you email versus text? Are you a morning person versus an evening person? If they say they're an evening person, I can't work with them. I'm not an evening person. I'm not. Like, I get up at 4:45 every morning, and by 6 p.m., I just want to do as much of nothing as I possibly can, right? And so when I have people who want to work with me in the evening, I'll make it work. But for the most part, you tell me you want to meet at 5 a.m., I'll be like, okay. Like, that would be a much easier sell for me. Yep. The people who I see at 6 p.m. is a labor of love. But it's like those small things. Is it a good cultural fit for you? Is it a personality fit? And also pay people for what they're good at. I'm done. I'm off my soapbox, y'all. I'm sorry, but it happens.
No, that's good. No, I think this is good conversation because there's a lot of people that need to hear this, and sometimes we need to tell ourselves this. I know we kind of touched on this, I think it was last week, where, we have to kind of teach people how to treat us. And, at the very beginning, we're willing to do anything, because we need the business, we need the money, we need all the things. And we're not really sure who we are. We haven't really stepped into who we are in the business world yet. And so at the very beginning, at least for me, especially, and I've seen this with my clients too, and I'm sure everybody listening out there, they can kind of see in this as well, but that, it takes a hot minute, it takes a minute to figure out, okay, I really love this. And you mentioned, Chanel, that you have a certification in analytics and you got it for a reason, but that doesn't mean you want to do it all day, every day. It doesn't mean that's your passion. You don't wake up in the morning thinking about analytics, all those things. And I get that. I have a lot of things that are kind of like that. And so within the business structure, you have to figure out, number one, who are you? Who are you in the business? Who are you in the business world? What do you love? What is the things that when you wake up in the morning is the first thing you're thinking about? What is that within your business? And, for me, that took a while to figure that out because I was trying to please everyone at all times. And we could get into the psychology behind the fact that I was people pleasing for so long, but this is not a discussion for this time. But, for the longest time, that's what I was doing. They wanted that. I was like, okay, well, I need the money anyway, so I'll go ahead and do that. But really, if you kind of look at big picture, I was costing myself money, so much money. And I was actually robbing myself on perfecting my skills in the areas that I really did enjoy. Because like anything else, if you do it all day, every day, and it's something you love, you are going to get better and better and better at it. And you're going to be more effective at it. And you're going to be able to get to the point that you can make more money at it. So by doing so many things myself for so long, I was robbing myself of that. So for me, I had to start out with figuring out, okay, I kind of always go from that do, delegate, delete mentality. Is it something that I want to do personally? Is it something that we as a team, because I have other people in my business now, is it something that we as a team want to offer, but I'm not doing it personally? Or is it something we're getting rid of because it's a waste of our time professionally and we'd rather just send that to somebody else? So, and I think those are kind of things you have to kind of like look at and audit all the time within your own life and within your own business. And I think that is something for me that has cost me a lot of money in the past. And I try to make sure that that's something that I do on a regular basis now because I know that.
Yeah. And I would say, I'm jumping in again here, Angela, unless you wanted to say something really quick. Okay. When we talk about like auditing, right? That's a money word. So y'all know that's my favorite thing to do. And so we've talked about this, like the Cheesecake Factory methodology, where you talk to someone, you go on their website, and it comes in two phases. It comes with like they say they're a coach, and then you get this absolutely cumbersome description of what they're offering, right? Or you get like one word, and it's like fish, right? And then you get 90 different types of ways you can have fish, right? And so you need to audit both of those because we live in a binge world. And so neither one of those works. If I am confused, and I really want to talk to Angela about systems, which systems is not truly what I do every day. It's not my strong suit. I create infrastructures, but they're often literally just so that I can get to where I want to be, right? And so that's not what I do all day. I don't create systems. And so I pay people to create systems so that I can support those systems or build within those systems. Yeah, that's my skill set. And you need to audit your processes. Like in the first year, yes, you do everything yourself, but you waste money and you cost yourself money, which is a double whammy. When I talk to people and I say, what if, because I do a lot of DMing. So I'll go in, I'll DM people about the opportunity to work with them. I set appointments, and that has worked really well for me. But I may make $10,000 a month doing that. What if I paid somebody $500 a month to do that exact same thing? Which sounds expensive, except, right, they'll spend 15 hours a month doing it, which is more than I was probably spending doing it, strictly on a money-making activity, which then frees up 15 hours a month of productivity. It gives me back my creative equity, so I'm able to possibly scale my business in a new, exciting way. I'm able to implement a new program and maybe able to add phase 2 of a cohort or something, right? I have 15 extra hours a month that I can do something really valuable with, versus I'm the person doing everything. There's no time left. And so the first thing I do is I ask people to just do a business audit. What do you spend money on? What do you spend time on? Tell me everything. Put it in a list. Let's go through it. And then I say, well, how much does this cost? You charge $125 an hour. Everything you do costs $125. So let's figure out how much money you actually spend on these things that you could actually then just pay somebody a fraction of the cost to do those same things. And that's usually like the aha moment. Like, I can save you $10,000 or $5,000 a month if I just get you to stop doing everything yourself. The reason why you're literally not making money is because you don't have the time to make money. And so auditing yourself, your processes all the time, like spend a perfect example. So we talk about lead pages and those type of things. Well, some services will automatically, for a small fee, send out whatever the downloadable is or the master class or whatever it is, right? But for the free services, some of them, the more popular ones, people will subscribe, they get an email, and then you follow up that email, you do it yourself. And I'm always like, for $8 a month, if you don't send this downloadable, like, get away from me. Like, I'll give you the $8, but people get so caught up in like freebies, and sometimes 8 freebies can cost you $100 a month because you're spending so much time freebie hopping.
Absolutely.
Right? That's like been an overwhelming experience for me. Even I did it in the beginning. I was like, oh, this is free. This is free. This is free. And then I had login fatigue. I know that's probably not a thing. It's very millennial of me to make that up. But I had login fatigue because every time I wanted to do something, I had to go to this website to send an email. I had to go to this website to double check and make sure it worked. I had to go to my website to make sure that the plugin was still on my website. Then I had to leave there and go on Facebook. And then I had to send a message on Facebook and send them to this page. And it would take me 20 minutes to have one firm conversation until I was just like, you know what? Enough is enough. I just like setting meetings. I'll give you a good example because I'm guilty of this. Google Calendar will allow you to send a notification to someone to let them know that you guys have a meeting, and you can put the description in there for people. Who reads those descriptions? Nobody, right? So it's not an effective. Angela is a systems person, so of course Angela reads them, but most people don't, right? So you can put, I'm going to give you $1,000 if you read this. And I've actually done this to see if people read it. They don't read it, right? So,
man, you need to send me some emails. You send me any invite you want. But
people
because I get 1 million invites a day and I have 3 overlapping and I have to decide which one is the critical priority. So yes, like if you saw my inbox, it's insane. I'm like, which one can I push off to somebody else?
Yep.
Can I get the intern? Can I get my systems tech? Can I do it? Do I have to push it out because I must do it?
Delegate, delete.
And who do I need to include? Thank you very much. You're 100% correct.
Yeah. But a lot of times people don't do delegate, delete. I know that's her favorite thing.
I love that.
But now what I do is I just use Calendly and they send a Zoom link. So my Zoom is connected. So now I'm not having to double back and make sure I clicked add Google video conference. I'm not having to do anything extra. And then it shoots them an email and it goes to their calendar. So it's 2 for 1. So I'm also not having to send a reminder email or an email confirming I sent the calendar notification, because not everybody is calendar savvy. So it used to take me 5 to 7 minutes to set an appointment. I just go in and put in their information. It takes me like 3 minutes. Not even, right? But it also costs me, I think, what is it? $8 a month or something like that.
It's not 15. So you use Calendly differently than I do. I use it as a please go in and select times available.
Right. You could do both.
I have not done it to set times with other people. I only used it so people could make appointments with me.
You can do both.
Yeah, you can do both on there. That brings me to something else I had on my list here, and that is look at what software you're using. This is another mistake that I made early on. Chanel, you brought up about login fatigue. I was getting that too. And then what made me feel really dumb was the fact that I hadn't fully learned all the software that I was paying for on a monthly basis. And then I figured out, oh my gosh, this does 2 of the things that I'm paying 2 separate services to do. And I was paying those 2 separate services month after month after month that I didn't really need, because this one service did that, but I hadn't taken the time to fully learn it. And, that's one of the things that I actually, back to auditing different things, it's one of the things that's a rule of mine now, because I have wasted, I don't even want to add it up, a lot of money on that kind of a problem. And it was because I needed to be able to do this task. And, I would learn it later, wink, 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 and later never happened because we're busy. You know how that goes. So now I make an appointment with myself that if I have a new software, that I do the tutorials, I do the whatever, go through and learn it to figure out what it does. And that serves several purposes. Number one, it tells me how to use it, so I'm using it effectively. Number two, it lets me know, okay, well, this also does, something another software does. Do I need to cancel that software, or do I like the functionality of that better? It allows me to kind of figure that out. But there's been plenty of times I get a new software, and once I learn it, I'm like, okay, well, I can cancel both of these now because I don't need them anymore, because this actually does that same thing. So, it's another way of kind of looking at your dollars and auditing what's going on, because that's something that's so easy to allow to happen. And another thing kind of in that same world real quick is that signing up for the free trials and then never trialing it. And then you're just paying for it for like months and months and months and months and months. I've done that. And that's the reason they do the free trials, because they know that people like me exist. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that free trial because later tonight I'm not gonna learn that. And then doesn't happen, things blow up, don't get on there. And then, once they charge you the first time, you're like, well, I might as well not cancel. I've already paid for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and learn it this month. And then you do that month after month. So my rule now is that before I even do a trial, is I go ahead and schedule it in my calendar. And it's a date I do not break with myself unless it's a real emergency, like somebody's like really hurt or something. I'm keeping that appointment with myself, because if not, I waste time, I waste money, and there's no point in even going ahead and trying the trial if I'm not going to do it. Yeah. So those are a few things.
So following on with that, because I made this mistake earlier this month, I did an annual subscription, and I frankly meant to end it because I have moved on my systems and I just don't need it for another year. And it renewed, and now I have it for another year, but I'm really not going to use it. So I'm out $100.
I would try reaching out to them. They may refund and like prorate some of it or something. Oh, darn, so close.
But you are right. Right. I'm like, listen, even if you prorate it for the 2 days, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't send a notice that they were going to renew.
Yeah.
They just said, congratulations, you're renewed.
Yep.
So some of your better customer oriented systems will send you a notice saying, we are going to, please check your credit card to make sure it's valid.
Yep.
The credit card you have on file, etc. This is the one to choose. At least you gives it. I think it's very customer centric to send those emails up front.
It is, but it's not a requirement. So that's the reason a lot of companies don't do it. And, that's another thing that we just implemented this is we have a separate Google Calendar for all of our services and their billing dates and what renews when. And, that's the same reason. That way it's an appointment in there. And when it's going to renew, it sends us out an email, because it's too hard to keep up with all that stuff. And, I tried different systems and different ways of keeping track of it. And I found that was the easiest way, because we use Google Calendar all the time and you can sync your calendars and all the things. So
that's a great way.
Yeah. So just food for thought. And if you're already paying for your Google system, it's free. You don't have to add any more money. So Chanel loves that. She likes saving money.
I do. Any way that you can. It's hard though, like the navigating in the beginning, like you said, the free trials that you don't try. And then when you are finally ready to use it, you want to go back and then you can't, because you maxed out the free trial. So then you try to use a different email, and then then you're frustrated. You can't remember what email you used. And I always encourage people to like really figure out what you need at the time. And I always ask myself, do I need this right now, or am I just curious? Because I am curious, George. I'm curious all the time. And if I am, I'm like, okay, write down 3 ways that you can use this today. If I can't come up with 3 ways that I can maximize this free trial, I don't even bother. And the same goes for challenge emails. I'm a sucker for a good ad. Like, I don't really buy stuff that much, but I'm a sucker for a free challenge, a beta test. Like, I'm all about it. And the truth of the matter is, unless it's something I really need, I'm never using it, right? And so it's also like, don't waste other people's time, and then don't waste your own. So that self-assessment that says, yes, I really am curious about how to make $10,000 a month, but do you have time to make $10,000 a month? Like, are you making $1,000 a month? Because the leap between 1,000 and 10,000 is often not smooth, right? Like, it's a long way, especially if you aren't consistently making money. So where do you draw the line, right? And I think that has been the toughest conversation to have with myself, because I think I can do anything all the time, every day. And I'm often trying to figure out how much more stuff I can cram into my day, but it's a false positive. Just because I sign up and I'll make it through 2 or 3 good days and it tapers off. Like, it just doesn't, the math is not there. So when you think about what systems you need, help me fill in the blanks. You need an email. You probably need some sort of like lead magnet page, right, to capture that.
Yeah, some type of URL based thing. If it's on a website, then you can do the Facebook page, like you said, or even Google has a free Google. They call it a website, but really it's just kind of like your own personal link.
Yeah, those are like the 3 big things I think you need right away to help you jumpstart, right? Like, get your business off the ground, because that's what the focus is. How do we teach people how to make money? And then once you have the systems in place, we talked about like organic growth earlier. The freest advice I can give anybody if they're trying to get organic growth is to start talking to people.
Yep.
And stay in the hashtags. And a lot of people think the hashtags are dead. Nope. They're alive and well. I had somebody send me a message the other day. They found me in a hashtag to ask a question about a video. And we actually have a call tomorrow to discuss, possibly working with me, because of something I put in a hashtag that I hashtag all the time. And it's kind of like a mindless thing to me today. Yep. But people search hashtags all the time for everything. And if you think that hashtags don't matter, they do.
Yeah, it's like bringing thoughts together. That's how I explain it to people. It's like, I think this, and they also think this. So it's like kind of combining all of that together. And I love hashtags. Honestly, it's kind of funny when they first started kind of getting popular. I was like, what the crap? There's one more thing that we have to try to figure out now. I was skeptical. I'm not gonna lie.
I love that we can follow hashtags on Instagram. I can't do that on Twitter as well. But it is easier on Facebook. I love following hashtags.
Mm-hmm. And Instagram puts them in your feed now too. Mm-hmm. So if you have to actually like follow the hashtag. So if the hashtag is marketing for small business, you're getting this free organic growth because you hashtag marketing for small business or logo maker or whatever suits your fancy. It matters. Hairdressers, lipstick, Chicago weekends, Sunday
triathlon. Probably triathlon. Not
triathlon.
No, really, that's like one of my close friends.
I'm on neither list. I don't wear lipstick, and I'm not running a triathlon.
But Chanel, you're 100% right.
I found friends this way. One of my friends, she and I did the Chicago Marathon in 2015, and how we found each other was we always hashtag whatever the hashtag is, which is like, I don't know, Chicago Marathon 2015. Let's just go with it. Yeah. And I would see her post, she would see my post. And back then you couldn't follow it. So I'd actually have to just like plug it in and look. And so I would join group runs that way. Right. I would meet people that way. And I'm still friends with a good chunk of those folks that I met on a hashtag, right? Mm-hmm. And that's all it took. And so here we are 6 years later. Right now I work out with one of the people who I met from a hashtag.
That's awesome.
Who supports what I was supporting. When we talk about community building, that's a great way to create community. It's more than just naming them the Chanelettes, and that's like my tribe, right? That's a terrible name. I did not do that.
No, I like it. I think you should do it now.
No.
Just as a joke.
That'll stress people out. I probably should. But then it's small anecdotal things all the time. Like, hashtags matter. And then the cool thing about hashtags is it creates alignment. So maybe you're a new business, but let's just say Maria is in your area. She just started this cafe, but she's like the coffee queen, right? And so every morning she hashtags Morning Cup of Joe, Ohio. Okay. And so then you are someone who is looking for cool people to meet up with you and have coffee because you're new to the area. So then you start hashtagging Morning Cup of Joe, Ohio. So now everybody sees that you are also a part of this like morning coffee crew. And you can say, hey, looking for a cool spot to go to. Where can we meet up at? And like eventually what'll happen is you have this community of people who drink coffee in the morning in Ohio, and then it can become its own phenomenon because it started with a hashtag. And the cool thing is, and you can then go back, you got your content because you have other people who are drinking coffee. You can shout those folks out. Yep. You can, connect with other people who Morning Cup of Joe Chicago is now your thing. And so then you, out of nowhere, you have this commonality, and it's all saved on the hashtag. And so you now then get to piggyback off of other people's success on that hashtag, but then you also get alignment because you were intelligent enough to be on the hashtag. And so maybe it's Maria Daniels, who's the cream of the crop of coffee, but then maybe you post 10 minutes later for the next one right under Maria Daniels. I can't afford Maria, but maybe Chanel is a better price point for me, but she's right there with Maria, right? So now I've gotten this default alignment, and it matters. It works.
I so agree. And the cool part about hashtags is they're free.
Yes. Yes.
So, it just takes a little bit of research. Just start, searching on Instagram some of your favorite hashtags and see how popular they are and see what people are talking about and see, how you can align. And that's the cool part. Like if you've got the time to put into it, which, Chanel, you mentioned earlier about sometimes it makes sense to pay somebody else to do that. And that's great. But when you are starting out, you have time and you don't have money. So, that's a great free way to kind of get your name out there a little more. And I love it. I think this is great stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. I was trying to think of besides, do you have any, Angela, besides I have another one, but if you have one, we want to hear yours.
Are we talking about my hashtags?
No, just about organic, free low cost organic ways to make money.
Talk to your friends and network. Yes. If you're afraid to talk to your friends about your business, you need to ask yourself why you're in business, right? They are not always going to be the ones who are your close business advisors, but you need practice. You need to hear the words come out of your own mouth and into your own ears, not in this egotistical way of, hey, talk to me, I'm going to talk, but the process of putting it out there into the universe, the process of hearing it with your own ears, and your friends are your friends. So they're going to be the first ones to give you some feedback in a way that'll be constructive and maybe, it might not hurt as much because sometimes there's truth to that statement as well, right? Maybe you don't have the best idea, but you need to start in a place where you're comfortable talking to your friends. And then you need to start working out from there. And hey, do you know anyone, or do you know someone that's a fit? And don't be afraid to ask for that question. I was afraid to ask, who do you know that might be a fit for this? Who do you think could interest this topic? How can I get that in front of them? And how can I learn from them? Who else is doing this? Who is my, not competitor, but person who's already further down this journey? Where can I learn? Asking all of those kinds of questions, you need to start in a small pilot program, right? But your pilot program is your friends, and build out from there.
And then if you have so a lot of people, professionals, especially in their mid-30s and beyond, have a strong network. And so there's a ball drop that happens all the time. They go to their friends and family and they're like, oh my God, you're amazing. You're incredible. This is the best thing ever. I'm so happy you're doing this, right? And then they don't give them a call to action. And so what I mean is you need to say, hey, Angela, I know that you are the systems queen, and I have a really cool way that I think can take most systems down by 10%. And so I come to you and you're like, oh my gosh, Chanel, you're awesome. You're great. You're incredible. Can't wait till you launch. Bye. Right. But while I have you here, Angela, I'm going to say, here's 3 ways you can help me. 1, would you be willing to send this out to 5 of your friends? Mm-hmm. 2, can you repost my post for this week? I got a real cool thing coming out. So for the next 5 days, will you repost for me? And also, I know you've been in this industry for a long time, and I know that your time is so valuable. I'm doing an affiliate program. So if you send this out to your network, and I turn a profit, I would love the opportunity to give you 5% or 3% of the profit to thank you for helping me get into environments that I wouldn't ordinarily be in, right? And so that's 3 ways that gets people engaged. And then this is the piece right here. You need to tell them what to say. So Angela is booked and busy. She has no time to be creating emails for you. She is building systems. So what you need to do is say, here, Angela, here are 3 editable templates for email. Here's 3 editable templates for LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and text message. Please feel free to use these interchangeably and edit, as you see fit, right? And please, if you can, if it's email, BCC me so I can I won't reach out to folks. I'll just kind of know what networks I'm in. That's it. Right. But the piece is you need to do the work. Like, don't come to me and ask me to spread awareness for your business and you won't take the time to teach me how to do that. Because even though, Angela's a systems person, this is my cost-cutting, saving measure that I'm going to implement into these infrastructures, not hers. She has been perfectly successful without me up until this point. So there's no added value for her if she doesn't, she doesn't do it. It's on me. But you know what? Angela's a good person. So if I send her templates on what to say and who to say it to, or even better, if I go to her LinkedIn, I say, Angela, Maria and Chanel are my perfect clients. Can you please send a message and introduce me to them? Here's what you can say, right? And doing that cuts the fat. Leaving them with nothing to do with click send, it takes you from 10% success rate to 95, because who the heck is going to say no to that? And they may say, oh, well, Chanel's actually in the process of leaving, Chicago and moving to London. So right now that wouldn't be a good fit. We probably won't hear back from her. But Maria is actually looking for a way to get more time back in her day. I'll message her. I'm like, oh, Angela, now I know something about you. So I know I can follow up with you. It keeps a lot of communication open with us. But then I know that 6 months from now, I may be able to make money off of Chanel. Right. Yep. And it's those simple, nuanced things that I think your family and friends want to support you, but you don't know how to talk to them and they have no idea what to do with your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I would
really good point.
No, it is. And I think I would go ahead and caution, because I know in some of the women's groups, and I think, Chanel, you're definitely in some of them, you see stuff all the time. Well, my husband doesn't support me, or my friends are supporting me, or whatever. Also, don't get hung up in the fact that they don't understand. Don't take it as a personal hit.
No.
So that, that's just a disclaimer out there. So I see that all the time, just so common. You mentioned referral fees, and I think that is a huge one. That's one thing I've always done. I still do. A referral fee. Sometimes people will send some, they don't even know I offer referral fees. And then if I'm able to close it, they get a referral fee paid to them. They're like, what is this for? And I'm like, it's a referral fee for what I just closed, and I think that's a huge thing, because then I just gave them money. They're definitely going to be on the lookout for me in the future. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that is a big thing. And it, you can work it into your pricing to where you're not going in the hole, obviously, but I already know that in my mind that I have to build that referral fee in to my pricing structure. So, I'm able to pay that out. So I think that's a great thing.
And it could be a rolling thing, right? You can give people their own coupon code. So it can be, bucks for bucks, right? Or it can be, $80, right? Or whatever you want it to be. And you can say, this is yours. I know for sure that you're somebody who I want to continue to have a possible partnership with. And so let's check in quarterly. So just as a way to keep lines of communication open. But in the meantime, if you come across another Maria, another Angela, another Chanel, please let them know that I have this really great system auditor that'll cut their time waste in half.
Absolutely.
You'd want to do it. And so people are inclined to receive that, right? And in the email, it's nice to say, hey, I'm partnering with Chanel and Maria, and we're doing this. And as a bonus, as a thank you for consideration, should you choose to, be sure to use this hashtag or this coupon code, and it gets you 10% off, right? And I'd rather spend 10% on a discount and then 5% to pay somebody, so 15% to get me in a room with somebody who didn't know I existed, than having not, $1,500 versus, $0, right? Or $85 versus no dollars, right? That's
absolutely
right. And it's direct to client, right? There's no middleman. There's no guessing. There's no algorithm that's literally just like cold, hard, 3-step process sales. It just makes no sense.
I agree. I so agree. Angela, so you've been quieter. I feel like me and Chanel talk more anyway. So I feel like I keep having to ask you, Angela. I don't want you to feel left out. What are your thoughts in that arena as far as referral fees and that type of a sales structure? Like, what are your thoughts in regards to that?
So you guys are the much stronger sales and marketing side of things. So I appreciate your perspectives. I do participate in affiliate marketing. A lot of our professionals in our world, we don't have referral fees as much. We're just sharing contact information.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit unknown. It's just not it's not a strong territory for me. But when I think about it, I'll take a friend or someone who regularly refers contracts my way. I would take them to dinner.
Yeah.
Randomly send them flowers, do different things, maintaining that relationship, but it's relationship on a friendly. We're not usually sharing finances. So I'm not paying for the referral. I've not been paid for referrals when I know people that have closed.
So I think that's another way to do it, though. I think that brings up a good point. So, even if you don't want to set up a structure to pay dollars for referral, it's just pretty much saying thank you. It's a way to say thank you. So you could do that in a gift card. You could do that. And like you said, taking somebody to lunch or dinner or treating them a coffee or sending them a small gift. I think that's the biggest thing in the idea of just kind of you mentioned relationships, Angela, creating that relationship structure to where if somebody sends you something, that you make sure that they know that they're appreciated. And I think we can all kind of get in the bad habit of accidentally taking people for granted. And I think that should be one of those things that we, again, audit ourselves and say, okay, am I accidentally, because most of the time, unless we're just jerks naturally, we're not doing it on purpose. It's just, we're busy again. So it's like, am I accidentally taking them for granted? And if so, how do I kind of fix that? And even, it doesn't matter if it's been a month ago, a year ago, or whatever. It's never really too late to be like, you know what, that sell that you sent me back whatever, I just wanted to say, I really appreciated that. And I really haven't taken the chance to say that. It could be a handwritten note. It can be an email. It can be something with a tangible get, whatever. It's just that act of appreciation. Yeah. And we all crave it. So I think those are, that's a really good point, because that appreciation level strengthens the relationships, creates the relationships. And that can help us so much, not only in making money, but also in saving money, because, those people a lot of times will be our, go-to people sometimes to ask them specific questions about our own business. And, we can learn a lot from those type of relationships.
And it leaves a lot of the communication open, right? So like,
Absolutely.
even, and I say this all the time, when you have a meeting with somebody, they think you're not a good fit, you think they're not a good fit, always follow up that email and say, hey, you know what, Angela, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I understand that right now it's not the best fit because you're in the process of training for a triathlon. And as we discussed, I set a calendar date for us to follow up, in the first week in November. Of course, if you need anything before that, please feel free to reach out. I'm absolutely, delighted to help where I can. I look forward to working with you in the future, right? And so what that does is it first of all, it says you paid attention. It leaves a lot of communication open. And even if in the meantime, so say you tell me November, it's July. So somewhere maybe like late September, early October, I send you a message and say, hey, I know that triathlon season is winding down. I found this cool article about body recovery, and I thought that you might find this helpful. Let me know your thoughts. I'm not a triathlon person. Was this a good one? Was it not? I particularly love number 3, which is a full spa day. I'm not a triathlon, but I'm headed to the spa, right? That's like 6 sentences. And if you don't read it, so what? But you've seen my name at the halfway point. So you remember you're going to hear from me again. And because you like triathlons, you're going to talk to me anyway, because you like to talk about triathlons. So you're going to be like, hey, thank you so much. This was a great article, or, yes, you should have a spa day any day, whatever, right? And
Right.
so it's just a nice way to have relationships. And when people talk to me about sales, it's all about relationships. So if anybody wants to know the best organic way to earn money, it's just with relationships. Like, just talk to people, be nice.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily cost you money. Like you said, you may take people out for dinner. It might just be a letter of recommendation. It's a testimonial. It's, maybe it's a small gift card. It's posting about them or reposting about them, or a special highlight when they're in between things. It's credibility, right? Like, those are things you can do that cost no money, and people will remember that.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. I think those are big takeaways. I know we're ending the end of our time here, but I think those are some big takeaways. Establish relationships. That's very important, but really nurturing those relationships is the key, because again, we all want to feel appreciated. We all want to feel recognized. We have these very core emotional needs that really translates even into the business world. We kind of pretend like it doesn't, but it does. So it's just kind of think about, your customers, whether they're past customers, current customers, whatever, future customers, who are they? What are some of their basic, emotional needs, and how can you kind of tap into that and be that resource? And, there are lots of ways to support them in their life journey, their business journey, that actually comes back to you. And I'm really big on the relationship side of the business world, because I think it's some people look at it, but I don't think it's looked at as widely as it should be. It's very much transactional. And I think that honestly, in my opinion, that's a way of the past. Forget the transactions. Money's great. I know Chanel loves money, and she probably has a bathtub that she lays in like this with it. That's what I imagine in my mind. I imagine that in my mind. And those are great, but the relationships are key, and the relationships will allow you to make money, and the relationships will allow you to keep your money and, grow your business and all the things. And that is really the foundation of everything. And then kind of getting really, conscientious about your internal structure, your internal processes, which Angela loves. She's like, yes, that's my language, which we'll have to go into that. You'll have to leave that conversation, because I know like that much of it, I put them in place and then that's all. But, I think that you have those things in place, and then it's just a maintenance thing. It's going back to auditing, and if something's not working, take a step back and really look at it deeply and say, why is it not working? Is it something that I'm doing, I'm not doing? Maybe I need to, do it, delegate, delete it. I'm gonna say that again, because I know y'all love it so much. And, really look at your business as a whole to figure out what's working, what's not working. Your needle movers. Like I say that all the time. And I think that's the biggest thing, because especially early on when you're starting out, you don't have the time or money to do all the things. So figure out what your things are and really try to make those work.
I agree.
So you ladies have anything to finish up with before we say ta-ta?
Go make some
money wisely.
There we go. Make some money, spend it wisely. We will be back next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Same place. Make sure you share this with your friends and click like and share and all the other things.
Friends.
Yes. There we go. Share with 5 friends. So if you don't have 5 friends and you only have 3, that's fine. You can share with the 3, try to make 2 more, and then we'll go from there. But we'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.